Today on the Tuesday Trio, 3 books that every worship leader should read, and most probably already have. Thank you so much for joining me here at Mina Studio. Today I want to talk about 3 books. I would call them kind of modern worship classics. Most of us who are worship leaders have probably read these, or at least heard of them, or seen parts of them quoted somewhere. So the first one we have is Worship Matters by Bob Kauflin. A lot of you have probably read this before. I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan of books about worship. I know that might be heretical to some of you, but I don't like them. They're just, either they're really vague and not useful to me, or they're like really specific and not useful to me. But this one I really like, because it's kind of just general principles that you can apply. Things like looking at your worship sets in long term, and if your people are getting good theology out of them, and where your heart should be, and all that kind of good stuff. It's kind of an overview for worship leaders, and it's a really good book to read. And if you don't like the worship books like I do, this one's actually pretty decent. So the next one is an oldie but a mostly goodie. That is The Heart of the Artist by Rory Nolan. It's definitely a worship team classic, I would say. Some of the stuff in here might be a little dated, but there's still really good things in here about being an artist or working with artists, because creative people are weird. Let's be honest about it. Creative people are just weird. And we always run into things like defensiveness or problems with community, or just these personality traits that creatives get in trouble with, honestly. And this helps people to work through those and to understand when they're happening. And it's just good for when you're working with creatives, or you yourself are a creative, to take a look at it and see, oh yeah, that sounds like me. That's me right there. So Heart of the Artist, really good. Might be a little dated, but still has great things in it. Finally, Then Sings My Soul. Now this one isn't really like a read all the way through book, although you could. This is a bunch of hymns. I think it's 150 classic hymns, a lot of the ones you probably play or have heard, and it's got the stories of the hymns in there. Short stories on every page, just 1-page long stories, and it's just really good to read, to know the background of the songs that you're singing. Some of these hymns have really amazing stories, and when you know the stories behind them, and sometimes you can share those stories with your congregation, it can really help when you sing the hymn for it to have more meaning. I know that I like to reference this whenever I sing it. I've referenced it enough that I know what's going on now, but whenever I introduce a new hymn, I always look in here to see if it's in here and see what the story is. So, Then Sings My Soul, great book to have for every worship leader. There you go, 3 modern worship leading classics that you probably have read, and if you have not, you should give them a shot. It's good stuff. So thank you so much for joining me here at Mina Studio, and please subscribe to see more super great, awesome videos just like this.